You wake up groggy. Before you even think clearly, your hand reaches for that coffee mug. Within 20 minutes, the fog lifts. You feel alive, focused, ready to conquer the day. But then, around 2 p.m., something shifts. Your thoughts turn sluggish. Your eyelids feel weighted. You reach for another cup, maybe a third. And the cycle repeats. Tomorrow morning, you'll need that coffee even more desperately than today. Here's the uncomfortable truth. That morning ritual you can't live without might be quietly rewiring your brain in ways you never anticipated. The very thing you rely on for mental clarity could be sabotaging your cognition, your sleep, and your long-term brain health. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what caffeine actually does inside your skull, why your brain feels broken without it, and what you can do to reclaim your natural mental energy without becoming a slave to the bean. Caffeine is the world's most widely consumed psychoactive drug. Over 90% of American adults use it daily, and most get it from coffee. When you drink that first cup, caffeine crosses into your bloodstream within 15 minutes and reaches peak concentration in your brain within 30 to 60 minutes. It works by blocking adenosine receptors. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that accumulates throughout the day, making you feel progressively tired. Caffeine essentially hijacks that system, preventing adenosine from binding, which keeps you alert. Sounds perfect, right? The problem emerges when you use caffeine chronically. Your brain doesn't just accept this chemical interference passively. It adapts, it fights back. And over weeks and months, those adaptations change how your brain functions, even when caffeine isn't in your system. The crashes you experience, the dependency you feel, the sleep problems that plague you, these aren't random. They're predictable consequences of long-term caffeine use, and understanding the mechanism is the first step toward breaking free. Short-term boost. Let's acknowledge the positives first, because caffeine does deliver real cognitive benefits in the short term. Studies consistently show that a moderate dose, around 100 to 200 milligrams, improves reaction time, vigilance, and attention. It enhances working memory slightly and can improve performance on tasks requiring sustained focus. For people who aren't habitual users, caffeine increases dopamine signaling in the brain's reward pathways, which elevates mood and motivation. It also stimulates the release of adrenaline, preparing your body for action. This is why that first cup feels so powerful. You're not imagining the boost, it's neurologically real. Caffeine also increases metabolic rate slightly and improves physical performance, which is why athletes use it strategically before competition. The key word there is strategically. When used occasionally, caffeine can be a useful tool. The problem begins when occasional becomes daily, when daily becomes multiple times per day, and when you can no longer function without it. At that point, you're no longer using caffeine to enhance baseline performance. You're using it just to return to normal, and normal keeps getting worse. Tolerance and adenosine war. Here's where things get dark. When you consume caffeine regularly, your brain responds by upregulating adenosine receptors. In simple terms, it builds more docking stations for adenosine, trying to compensate for the fact that caffeine is constantly blocking the existing ones. Within 1 to 2 weeks of daily use, you develop tolerance. The same dose that once made you feel sharp and energized now barely keeps you awake. You need more caffeine to achieve the same effect. But even higher doses don't fully restore that original feeling. Why? Because you're not actually boosting your brain anymore. You're just preventing withdrawal. When caffeine wears off, all that accumulated adenosine floods the extra receptors your brain built, and you crash harder than someone who never drank coffee in the first place. This is adenosine rebound, and it feels like hitting a wall. Your energy plummets. Your mood darkens. You feel physically exhausted and mentally foggy. The only quick fix is more caffeine, which restarts the cycle. You're trapped in a pharmacological loop where you need the drug just to feel baseline normal, and without it, you fall below baseline into withdrawal. Headaches, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and profound fatigue are the hallmarks of caffeine withdrawal, and they can last for days or even weeks after quitting. Sleep disruption and crash cycle. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, meaning if you drink a cup at noon, half of that caffeine is still circulating in your system at 6 p.m. Even if you don't feel wired, that residual caffeine disrupts your sleep architecture. Studies using polysomnography show that caffeine reduces total sleep time, decreases slow-wave deep sleep, and fragments sleep continuity. You might fall asleep, but your brain never fully cycles into the restorative stages it needs. The result is you wake up feeling unrefreshed, which makes you reach for more coffee the next morning. This creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep increases adenosine buildup, which makes you feel more tired, which drives you to consume more caffeine, which disrupts your sleep even further. Over time, chronic sleep disruption has devastating effects on brain health. It impairs memory consolidation, reduces cognitive flexibility, accelerates neuroinflammation, and is linked to increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Your afternoon crash isn't just caffeine wearing off, it's also the consequence of accumulated sleep debt, which caffeine masks but never resolves. You're borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today, and the interest compounds. Longer term, brain effects. Beyond the daily cycle of highs and crashes, chronic caffeine use may alter your brain in subtler, more persistent ways. High doses of caffeine stimulate cortisol release, your primary stress hormone. Elevated cortisol over time contributes to anxiety, irritability, and difficulty managing stress. Many heavy coffee drinkers report feeling jittery or on edge, and that's not coincidental. Caffeine amplifies your stress response, making you more reactive to everyday challenges. There's also emerging evidence that long-term adenosine receptor changes might affect neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt and form new connections. Some studies suggest chronic caffeine users show reduced gray matter volume in certain brain regions, though the clinical significance remains debated. What's clearer is the impact on mental health. Caffeine dependence is associated with higher rates of anxiety disorders and can exacerbate symptoms in people predisposed to anxiety. It also disrupts the balance of other neurotransmitter systems, including serotonin and GABA, which regulate mood and relaxation. You might think you're just drinking coffee, but you're fundamentally altering the neurochemical environment your brain operates in every single day. And when you try to stop, the brain you're left with isn't the same one you started with before you ever drank coffee. Strategic use and Neuro sharp. So what's the solution? You don't necessarily need to quit caffeine forever, but you do need to use it strategically rather than dependently. First, reduce frequency. Limit caffeine to 3 or 4 days per week maximum, with at least 1 or 2 consecutive days off to prevent receptor upregulation. Second, time it wisely. Consume caffeine only in the morning, ideally 90 minutes after waking when your natural cortisol spike has tapered. Avoid all caffeine after noon to protect your sleep. Third, dose appropriately. 100 to 200 milligrams is effective. More just increases side effects without added benefit. But here's the deeper strategy. Instead of relying solely on a stimulant that borrows from your future energy reserves, support your brain with nutrients that enhance its natural capacity for focus and clarity. This is where compounds like those in NeuroSharp come in. NeuroSharp is a caffeine-free nootropic blend designed to support cognitive function through mechanisms that don't create dependency or crashes. It contains Bacopa monnieri, which research shows enhances memory and reduces anxiety. Ginkgo biloba improves cerebral blood flow, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to brain cells. Lion's mane mushroom promotes nerve growth factor production, supporting neuroplasticity and long-term brain health. Phosphatidylserine helps maintain healthy cell membranes in neurons, improving signal transmission. And rhodiola rosea acts as an adaptogen, helping your brain resist stress without stimulating cortisol. Together, these ingredients work synergistically to provide sustained mental clarity without the roller coaster of caffeine. You can use Neuro daily because it supports your brain's natural function rather than hijacking it. Pair strategic, occasional caffeine use with consistent nootropic support, and you break free from dependence while maintaining peak cognitive performance. Your brain deserves better than a daily drug dependency disguised as a morning ritual. If you're ready to reclaim your natural mental energy, start by understanding exactly how to optimize your brain's performance without stimulants. We've created a free resource called the Brain Focus Mastery ebook, which walks you through science-backed strategies for enhancing focus, memory, and mental stamina naturally. It covers sleep optimization, nutrient timing, neuroplasticity exercises, and how to structure your day for maximum cognitive output. You'll also learn the complete protocol for cycling caffeine strategically if you choose to continue using it, plus detailed information on how compounds like those in Neuro work at the neurochemical level. The link to download your free Brain Focus Mastery ebook is in the description below. You'll also find information about Neuro there if you want to explore a caffeine-free cognitive support option. Don't stay trapped in the cycle of dependence and crashes. Your brain is capable of so much more when you give it the right support. Download the ebook, take control of your cognitive health, and discover what it feels like to have natural, sustainable mental energy again. The link is waiting for you in the description. Thank you for watching, and here's to a sharper, clearer, more resilient mind. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.